Hi everybody, welcome back to Critical Mass. Well, we debated on it, and we finally decided we were going to watch Mulan. Biggest release so far since the pandemic, even bigger than Tenet. This is supposed to be the big film, and it's only on Disney streaming. We broke down and did it. And are we happy we did it? Well, we'll tell you after this. Okay, so before we get into our review, and we're going to warn you, it will be a spoiler review. It's hard to do a film like this justice without talking about what's actually in the film, because we're going to want to compare it to the old film, and also people have already seen the old film, the majority of people. So we're going to tell you whether or not we think, should you rent it. In the United States, $30 plus your subscription fee to Disney Plus. And by the way, you don't own it. You own it for as long as you own Disney Plus. If you ever get rid of Disney Plus, you no longer own the movie. So it's not like you're buying it on Apple or Amazon Prime. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Canada, it's $35 plus the subscription fee. So $42 to do this if you don't have Disney Plus. Is it worth that money to watch Mulan, the live action remake? What do you guys think?
I think you're probably not going to watch this alone. You're going to have 2 or 3 people in the room watching this. That covers the cost of admission to the movie theater. If you want to watch a movie with some people because you're bored of what else is on, I say it's definitely worth downloading it or streaming it.
Yeah, I disagree. I think, don't get me wrong, the visuals in this movie, they're gorgeous, but they're definitely made for the big screen. I would say just, if you're going to watch it on your TV, no matter how big your TV is, I would just wait. Because you're not going to get the experience that you were looking for on the big screen. This movie was built for the big screen, you can tell.
I think the date mentioned was December 4th or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you can wait till December 4th, I think it's going to be free on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so for your subscription fee. And let's face it, it's been put off since March. So we've been waiting a long time anyway. Personally myself, I'm probably, out of all of us, the biggest fan of the Asian martial arts, kung fu kind of movies. I know all the actors and actresses in this movie. Big fans of a lot of them. Would I spend the money on it right now? I'd probably wait, just for a couple reasons. It's a kung fu movie more than it's Mulan to me. And so I wouldn't spend $35 to watch the next Donnie Yen movie come out. And so I would wait for streaming, especially since it's coming out by the end of this year, just in time for Christmas. I'd save my $40.
Okay, so there. I say, yeah, go for it, and we got to wait and a wait.
Yeah, 2 waits. So now we'll talk about the movie itself. Now, again, we're going to be having spoilers here, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you want to watch the movie, now's the time to go stream it for yourself and spend your $30. Paul, if you were just, let's forget it's Mulan, let's just talk about a movie. So there's no other movie made before this. Go ahead and talk about this as if it's just a standalone movie.
Okay, so some studio comes out and they want to make a movie about the ancient Chinese legend of Mulan. I say this was a success. Like, don't worry about anything. Don't worry about cartoons and musicals and stuff. If you're just watching this movie to watch a movie, I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was touching at moments. It had a little bit of comedy here and there, although it wasn't a comedy. It was a drama, and it had some good action scenes. And a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, it wasn't real good action because it was like being hoisted on wires and stuff. Well, that's the kind of artistic style that they chose to do for this, and that's what a lot of kung fu movies choose to do. So I think, in a nutshell, I was happy with the movie. Acting was awesome, cinematography was awesome, and it had some messages that I thought were pretty poignant. That's my take in a nutshell.
Mark.
Okay. I would agree with a lot of what you said. However, if you've seen like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or The Matrix, you've seen everything they're doing in this movie, and you've seen it done better. I thought the visuals, yes, they were breathtaking. But if you were to for me, if you were to replace the word chi with force, you have Rey from Star Wars, because at no point in this movie, and see the story of Mulan, the story that I know is that she learned
But
and she went.
we're not talking about
I understand.
a remake. We're
I
talking
understand.
about the story.
I understand that, but there's got to be some kind of a journey where you learn how to do things and how to be better.
Okay, but this was the message of this story was not I can learn and be as good as a boy. This one was self-discovery and being who you are.
No, this one was, it doesn't matter if I'm a boy or a girl if I have magic.
No, that's not at all.
Because the chi that they were using was magic.
The chi was strong in this one.
Okay, but if you're talking about Chinese fantasy legend movies, okay, there is all kinds of history of people having a strong chi. Okay, this was one of those movies. The emperor was very strong in the chi, and he was. They always say, "I can see the warrior inside of you."
Yeah.
Her family symbol was the phoenix rising up and being glorious and powerful. Okay, yes, she was born, and her talent was being a warrior.
When they start taking sheets and fighting with 20 people, 20
But
meters away with
that is kung fu. Though.
I know that's
kung
the
fu
kung
movies.
fu they've decided to do, and I think it's a disservice to actual martial arts.
But if you're gonna watch a movie based on Chinese legend, you have to understand that Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was the exact same, and yet you said it was done better. This is what they do
Yes.
in Chinese cinema.
I understand that, but we're trying to we're reviewing
A
Mulan.
Chinese historical fantasy.
We're reviewing what was supposed to be in my mind, what I thought I was sitting down to watch when I started watching Mulan was a young girl who takes the place of what was supposed to be the eldest son, goes off to war, is not perfect right away, and has some learning to do, and then overcomes, is basically smarter than the rest of her, than the army, and finds solutions to problems they couldn't find solutions to. Because that was not this.
Because you, like so many other people out there, want to see the cartoon again. That was a different story. Now they made another Mulan movie that is different.
Okay, all right. We have opposing opinions here.
This is Disney's remake of Disney.
We have to let the cat out of the bag here. We have to compare the two movies now.
Why do we have to?
Because I want to compare the actual story of the not the music, not the songs, but the plot.
Okay, but tell me this. What does the previous movie have to do with the quality of this movie?
Because some of the choices they made just to try and make the movie different, I thought takes away from the story of this film.
Okay, so apparently this story is a lot closer to the Legend of Mulan than the cartoon. The cartoon is focused towards kids, and so you're gonna have happy songs and dragons and stuff like
Okay,
that.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the plot of the movie, the acting of the movie itself, not the songs, not the jolly thing, not the visuals. I'm just talking about a story. Here we have Mulan. The opening scene you see of Mulan, she's waving a sword around like she's a kung fu expert.
Because she was born with the chi.
Great, perfect. What I don't like about that story is now there's no journey.
Of course there is.
No, there's not.
Except the journey in this movie is about living your true self. It's not about being as good as a boy.
Okay, I'm Superman, I'm indestructible, and my journey is how I'm going to learn to live with being indestructible and really good. It's a boring story if you could go at it that way. I didn't want the story of she's expert at everything right away. Hey, let's create Rey from Star Wars in Mulan right away, and she can jump and she can kick swords and she can outdo all the other fighters. immediately. Immediately. In the animated feature, you see she's a girl trying to save her father's life. She goes off to war. She's out of her element.
Same. Okay.
She learns how to fight through the training with the other men at her side.
Okay, in this movie, it's the same thing. She's not
Except she's
perfect,
already an expert fighter.
but the message of the movie is living your true self. And
Okay.
while she's not living her true self,
But I'm saying what I
she
don't
cannot
like
perform.
about it. I didn't want her to be that.
Oh, okay, but you guys are living the cartoon.
Okay, wait.
Did I start something here?
Listen. I would actually like to talk about how good this movie was, rather than how good the cartoon was, and this one wasn't as good as the cartoon.
I'm allowed to disagree with some of the plot choices, and yes, some of the scenes in this movie are visually very stunning, but you know what? Some of the CGI in this movie and the green screen was very poorly done. When they walked into the burned out with the soldiers and the piled up armor and everything, the first thought in my mind is, hey, look, they're in a room. You can tell they're in a room. They're not out in the battlefield anywhere. They're in a room. The CGI was that poorly done.
I wish that they would have more character development with the bad guys. I thought he portrayed a really neat villain, but I would have wanted more. Why is he doing it the way he is doing it? There must be some history that they could flesh out.
Yeah, there was no real. Here's why they're doing this. Here's why he's attacked. The emperor killed my father and I'm out for revenge. Okay, but they also changed the name of who's attacking. It's no longer the Mongols who are attacking.
But the group, I think, is the Rowan.
The Rowans.
Okay, that's actually what the original Tales of Mulan is, not the Huns.
See, I've never heard of the Rowans.
But we have to get away from the cartoon.
No, I'm just saying, it just seemed harder to say. The villains themselves were the weak part, and the reason they were so weak is because they wanted to introduce the new female character, the witch, which is not in the story of the original books, by the way, and it's not in the movie. So,
But I could see why they did it, because she is the shadow or counterbalance to Mulan, who was born with chi and she wants to fight for good, and you have this other witch woman who was also born with chi or magic,
Yeah.
but she lived in a world where she was not allowed to live her true self and she became corrupted. And so now you have her learning and teaching Mulan what will happen to her if she doesn't live her true self.
No, I can't remember. Did they actually test her blood to see how many midichlorians made up that sheet?
yeah. See, this was kind of I like, they're trying to show how, like, this is a woman empowerment movie, and I'm fine with, that's perfect and everything. The one thing I didn't like is that they kind of did the Mary Sue thing again, where the woman is really strong right at the beginning and there's no growth along the way, other than I'm going to take off my armor and show my hair now, and now I'm a female.
Now, in defense of everything that we're saying, one of the first lines in the opening monologue of the movie is, "The story of Mulan has been told many times. This is my telling of the story."
Yeah.
So he does preference the whole story. We know it's going to be different right from that line. So in their defense, they did set us up for a different story that was being told.
See, and I don't see it as a Mary Sue character, because she did have a lot of faults that held her back. She showed promise, but she was filled with self-doubt. She was filled with a loathing to go against family tradition and honor, and that held her back. She was not as good as the other soldiers because of all her self-doubt, and she had to overcome those inner obstacles rather than, oh, I just don't know how to use a sword as good as the rest, and so now I'm training and now I could use a sword. It was a different kind of overcoming your obstacles.
Except her self-doubt never stopped her in a fight. In the training, when she starts fighting her love interest in this movie, and they're doing the fighting scene, her self-doubt doesn't hold her back. She blows the guy away in her fighting skills. All of a sudden. And that's why, and everyone around her is going, well, because she's holding back. Why is she holding? Because she's so good right from the beginning.
She's holding back, and then she absent-mindedly forgets that she's supposed to be hiding herself from these
Yes.
people, and suddenly, because she's living her true self in that moment, she has her ability.
Right. But what I'm saying is, I think they're taking away from the story of anybody can achieve something. In this, they're saying you can achieve it, but you have to be special to be able to achieve it.
But they're not saying that. Her special is that she is acrobatic and
No, she's
reflex.
She's
and,
really strong in the chi, and they say it numerous times in the movie.
But what does that mean? Her self power
Is magic.
It's magic.
is warriorhood. At no point does she shoot laser beams or anything like that. It's warriorhood, just like the emperor,
Bet she could have.
just like her father, just like the commander of the army. Other people, if you extend this to the world, other people would have a different kind of chi. Maybe they like making a weird kind of music that nobody appreciates, but they want.
This is a better debate video than all of our other debate videos.
And we're going to go on, and we're like 50 minutes here. So let's cut this. Let's just talk about the acting in it to begin with. Did you like all the acting in the movie?
The acting was.
Mark.
I found most of the acting was good. I found that the villain was too villainy. He was bad for the sake of being bad. He was one of literally you could see him on the street and be like, yeah, that's the bad guy. They made him I'm an evil guy. One of those guys. I would prefer, like you said, a little more character development and maybe his acting could be toned down a notch in that aspect. Otherwise, I thought the acting was great by all cast members.
I really liked her father and the emperor. I thought everybody was great. There were moments of levity, like when she's in with the teapot. They tried to lighten the mood with some funny stuff. It was kind of, I don't know, a little bit cringy to me.
It really did not work for me, that whole scene.
Yeah, and there was another moment where they're all around the campfire and they're talking about what a woman should be, and the extra male characters were locker room talk, and that was kind of cringy to me too. But I watched Chinese movies, and the overboard bravado, it's consistent with that. I just didn't enjoy it very much.
Okay. I had a couple, I love these actors and actresses a lot. I thought her character of Mulan was kind of wooden a lot of the times. And I understand she's trying to pretend she's a guy. First of all, I'm sorry. No amount of faking made me ever think that she was not a guy. That she was a guy in this movie. I'm also very disappointed they dubbed over Jet Li.
Okay, outside the movie, if you want to call it disrespectful or something like that, fine, whatever. But in the movie, I didn't find it distracting. I liked the voice. I liked his character. There was no problem in the movie for me regarding that.
Yeah, but he's the only actor they dubbed over.
But maybe he had a cold when he was filming it.
No. Jet Li he has a very soft-spoken voice. And they wanted the Emperor to have an older, more authoritative voice, so that's why they dubbed over it.
Awesome.
But then why put Jet Li in that role? Why not cast somebody who's known for playing those roles?
Because he's Jet Li.
And because they built up this big act, and even the fight with Jason Scott Lee at the end, it's some of the worst, wire foo, if you want to call it, in the movie. The jumping up and down, hanging, it really looks like she's being lifted up by the ropes.
But that's every wire fu movie.
No, but this was, you can see it so clearly. It's one thing to see the legs jumping up and the legs are going like this when they're jumping from rooftop to rooftop. You see that in all the movies. But when they're jumping up and grabbing up and throwing themselves up, it looks like they're actually doing that. In this one, it was like boom, and then all of a sudden her arms are still there, but she's throwing herself up, and it was a bad scene. It was a bad fight scene.
Okay, after listening to you two, I want to know what out of 10 do you give this movie? And I want you to recall that you gave New Mutants a 6.
6.5.
Okay, so what you've just learned is when we do reviews, just mute everything he says. Don't trust anything he says.
I'm going to base this movie on my enjoyment of the movie. I'm going to give it a 7. It's an okay martial arts movie. I didn't find it humorous at all. For me the jokes missed, and some of the action scenes were sort of okay. But other than that, it was fairly well acted. It was an okay story through it. I'm not comparing it to the other movie in this, because if I was comparing it, I would give it a lower mark. I would say, as a standalone movie, I say this is 7. I enjoyed the movie. Would I go rush out to see it again? No. Will I watch it tonight again? No. But I'm not disappointed that I watched it. I thought it was okay.
Okay. I think I'd give it a solid 7.5. 7.5 seems right about where it would be. I don't think it is epic enough that I would score it higher than that.
And what do you, Mr. Positivity,
Well,
give it?
I'm kind of disappointed that you spent literally 45 minutes trashing the movie and then you give it a 7.
No, I'm just saying what I disliked in the movie.
Yeah, but why did you not praise its virtues other than a couple of words at the end?
Because every time I tried to say something, you jumped on me.
Because it was all nonsense.
No, because you didn't give me a chance to get to the other stuff. I say, oh, I didn't like this, and then you jumped in on me. It's an enjoyable film. It's not an epic film. I don't think anyone out there is saying this is the best martial arts movie of all time.
They won't even be saying it's the
best.
greatest Mulan.
I don't
movie
think
of all
they're
time.
even going to say it's the better Mulan film. That's not nostalgia. That's me watching them back to back and comparing the two together.
That's the problem. That's the problem. Like, you guys should not even be thinking
No.
of the old cartoon.
I watched Mulan first, and then I went back after I saw it, and I watched the old one.
Yeah, and that's the problem. You're comparing Lion King cartoon to Lion King remake, Beauty and the Beast to Beauty and the Beast remake, this to...
Well, when you do a
the
remake,
new
sometimes you have to compare it.
But this is obviously going to be different than the cartoon. It's not for kids. And so you have to treat it as an adult cartoon or adult movie. You can't say, oh, I liked Eddie Murphy in the cartoon and they didn't have Eddie Murphy in this one.
I really miss Mushu.
Yeah,
I do.
because the cartoon was great. But this movie was different than
Yes.
the cartoon.
And not as good.
But what does that matter?
No, I still gave it a 7.
Okay,
How high do you think I give Mulan?
I would
What do you
say-
give?
A 30?
Paul gives it a 13.
Yeah.
No, my legitimate rating for this is a 7 or a 7.5 because I thought it was a really good movie, but because they had to endear themselves to the Chinese government, they played it safe a lot. So you didn't see the stabs, you didn't see blood. I think this could have been a really good North American action movie if they went a little more hardcore. Now it's Disney, and I understand they want to appeal to families, and that's their brand. So I understand. It would have been probably an 8, an 8.5 if they went all out.
Yes.
But a 7, 7.5, I think it was a good, enjoyable movie. And I think if you're not going into it looking to compare it to the cartoon or criticize it, I think you're going to really enjoy it. So on December 4th, after you get it for free,
Yeah.
come back and tell us who you agree with.
Although Paul said you should go out and rent it. We're the ones who said wait.
No, if you're one person, don't do it. Only if you would normally go see this at the movie with a couple of other people.
Okay. Well, that's been our hour-long review of Mulan to get to 7, 7.5, and 7.5. So I don't think our things, we just came at it from a different perspective. Some things I just didn't like the choices of. Mark didn't like a couple of the scenes. Paul just
Not
wanted
at all.
to not talk about anything negative. Tell us something negative about the movie.
Oh, I didn't like how when she had to get to this place behind the army, she was suddenly
All of
there.
a sudden there.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by shots and the cinematography. There were some weird things in this movie.
But I can understand length of movie, creative choices,
but it's-
editing, whatever. That's one minor thing I didn't like.
Well, they could have maybe took out a couple scenes of the Phoenix floating by to show us her doing something in the movie, like, because a lot of the movie is spent not on Mulan. It's spent on the witch and other people, and it's supposed to be Mulan is the story, and
See, you're looking at me, and
But
you know that I'm steaming on the inside because I think this is nonsense.
Because I want to know what Don really thinks of this movie.
no, but I'm just saying they could have made it like take a little bit more time in your editing and your film, like you said. They did all this, and then also she's shooting an arrow.
At the same time,
Where they could have shown this
we
stuff
have
happening.
to suspend our disbelief with some aspects of the movie. You have
Yeah.
to understand it is a Disney movie.
But this is a
If we're not-
centerpiece of the
But
movie.
if we're not complaining about the things they did in The Matrix, why are we now complaining about the things they're doing in a Chinese fantasy?
Well, because in The Matrix, you were literally in a computer program.
Okay, that was the fantasy part. Well, this is a Chinese fantasy. They're gonna have that weird phoenix flying around. They're gonna have these balls of fire landing exactly where they want them. That's the fantasy.
Yes, but what I'm just saying is, like, they could have made it seem more realistic with slight editing. That's all it took. But instead, we saw all these scenes of just like reflection and thinking and.
Curiosity.
And drama.
No, a lot of the scenes were no drama. It's just her sitting by herself going,
Okay, wrap it up. Wrap it up.
okay. That's our review of Mulan. As you can see,
Oopsie.
we usually disagree on live action remakes a lot. And if you want to see some of our other reviews of the live action remakes, like Beauty and the Beast, and
I don't think we did Beauty.
we didn't do, but we did Lion King,
And maybe Aladdin.
Aladdin probably. Check out those reviews because I'm guessing we're probably not on the same page on those as well. We'll see you on the channel.